Well, hello, my hey, I got something to say, people. Where there's a will, there's a way. And you know how much I love first, but there was no way I was not having Jannette on the show because I don't know her, but she's even reading about her and seeing her. I know not only will she have great advice, but she's going to be a hoot. So, welcome, Jannette. How are you?
Awesome. I'm feeling particularly bodacious today.
Oh, is there ever a day you're not?
There are days where I am far from bodacious, but it is my goal and aspiration to make everything bodacious in the world.
I love that. And I really do. I want to get into that later, but I really do think, when you keep focusing on your mission or your purpose, your why, it does go mayday, mayday. You're getting off track and you get back on track sooner. So, all right, here we go. Let me tell them a little bit about you, just a teeny bit. Jenna is called the Why Whisperer because she loves showing women how to profit from knowing their purpose. Oh, we just said that. As a trainer, coach, and a business growth consultant for over 38 years, she has a wee bit of experience. She knows what actually works, and I love this. And what is a lot of make work that won't help you get more clients and make the impact you are. I can't remember if I read that. It's so true. Are here to make. She is committed to helping you be the difference that only you can be. All right, so let's just start out. And people really loved it. I got a lot of great responses to every woman has a unique why. Now, I got a lot of questions here for you, Jeanette. There's some women that said,
Rapid
and
fire.
maybe but over and over again, I got, are you sure? Okay, I was all right not figuring it out. This woman, we'll call her Sally Bell.
Yeah.
I was okay not figuring it out when I was 23, but now I'm 62 and I still don't know my why. I like that one. We have to go with that first.
Okay. Well, and let me tell you what my definition of your why is, because it's a bit different. Sorry, something keeps trying to pop up here. A bit different than what a lot of people would normally call their why. My definition of your why is the intersection between what you're healing from the past and what you long for the future, for yourself and other people.
Ooh.
Healing from the past and what you long for the future, for yourself and other people. It's not what you do. It's not some kind of arbitrarily externally imposed thing. I call it a thread that weaves through the tapestry of your life. It's consistent. It doesn't change. You can think of it a variety of ways. You can think about it as what you're here to learn this lifetime. If that's not your frame of reference, you can think about it as what's the biggest kind of lesson that you seem to be learning over and over in your life that maybe you're here to contribute to or fix or alleviate for others. Your why is what what you longed for uh, at
Hmm.
some point in your life. And typically, I believe our why is set when we're little kids, that we become um, developed or motivated around that when we're little. It's not something you come to later in life. It's something that has been with you your whole life. And we may or may not just be consciously expressing it and living into it. You're living into your why, whether you want to or not, but you may not be consciously aware of and using it as much as you could be using it. So,
I like that.
yes. And what people often confuse with their why, or you can call it purpose or mission, but I just find those words are kind of laden with lots of concepts and beliefs behind them. So
Mhm.
your why is consistent thread throughout your life, but your stand, how you express that why, changes multiple times over the course of your life. You can express your why in your family, you can do it in your community, through your business. Your stand in the world may change over time. I've had 4 iterations of my company. I did a lot of 35 years plus of personal development facilitation. So whether I'm in the classroom teaching a personal growth course or a coaching certification program, or I'm in front of a corporate group doing a visioning exercises or working with a coaching client, my
Mm.
why is consistent, but the expression of it over time has looked and been delivered differently or lived into differently. So, sometimes you go through a period where you live into your why as a mom. Then you may go back into the workplace and you express yourself that way and contribute to the world, contribute your why to the world that way. So our stand changes, our why doesn't. Um,
Yeah,
and
I like that. Yeah, I like that. And I think it's a lot easier. And I'm sure Sally Bell will say this. It doesn't put the way you're describing it, Jeanette, it doesn't put so much pressure like, oh my God, what's my why? What's my why? And I'm
mm,
even thinking it for me. So as a little kid, it's always been my mission is to spread joy. But
yes,
my vehicle has changed
yes.
drastically, but it's still the same thing. So let's talk about you. And when you came on, bodacious and bodacity, I love it. I love it. I love it. As a little kid, were you that way?
Yes and no. I certainly didn't have it called that. I grew up with a lot of drama and trauma and chaos and so forth. I moved 27 times in the first 29 years of my life. Mom was married 5 times, lots of addictions and
Oh,
violence and so forth. And so I grew up with I became the parent very early
yeah.
and got responsible and mature very early. But I think I came out of the womb entrepreneurial. In fact, I know I did. I think I was born with a briefcase, and which my mother did not appreciate. But
Oh,
I'll tell you a little story that indicates what my why is, how it got formed for me, or how I became aware of it. So when I was 5, I really wanted the book Heidi. I begged my mom for it because there was so much chaos and violence in my world. Books became my sanctuary. It was
yeah.
go away and be somewhere wonderful. And for some reason, someone had mentioned it, or I wanted the book Heidi. I don't know how or why. And I begged her and 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 begged her. How about now? How about now? Can we go get it now? How about now? And finally, one day, after weeks of this pestering, she turned around and yelled, "No, we can't afford it." And I was just shocked. I wasn't shocked by her saying that because I heard that all the time. We can't afford it. We don't have money, etc.
Yeah, yeah,
By the look on her face, Sandy. I was shocked by the despair and the sadness and the frustration and anger that I saw
yeah,
in her.
yeah,
And I was only 5, but I remember viscerally to this day, literally every time I think about it or talk about it, I get goosebumps. I remember deciding I never wanted to see that look on another woman's face,
wow,
another person's face. And I
wow.
didn't want it on my mom's or mine. And it might not have been, as articulated, but it was just this resounding no, no to that experience,
Mm,
saying no to life
mm,
and to ourselves and what we want in our dreams. So that turned into my why, which is I want you to get that you matter and live like you do.
mm.
It may seem like a leap for some people, but basically, I always wanted to get on the list. I wanted to matter. Not even the top of the list. I just want to get on the damn list, right? And so I decided that because that was my longing, of course, that's what I see in the world and
Yeah.
that I resonate with. Now, the story kind of goes on as a very determined child. And as children, we don't overcomplicate the crap out of things. So I was like, oh, problem, no money, solution, get money. Then I can have the book, right? Easy peasy.
Yeah, yeah,
I decided at 5 I was going to have my first business. And so I was going to do something to make money. And I had seen some neighbors of ours in the housing tenement have a garage sale of sorts, a lawn sale. And so I decided that I would do that and then I would make the money. So one day when my mom was at work, I'm sure someone was supposed to be watching me, but it was 1965. So, little lax. So I took everything I could carry out of the house, small appliances, knickknacks, small furniture, my toys, mom stuff, and priced it all. Like I said, I came out of the womb entrepreneurial. I think I could count money before I could talk or read. And priced it all, and I had a sale. I had a very successful garage sale. I was so excited when mom came home. I went running up to her and went, Mom, look, $13.72. I remember to this day. I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday, but I can tell you that. And
mm,
so I was so excited. Problem, solution, right? Yeah. not quite how she saw it. Well, the short version of the story is I got spanked. She took my money. I had to go back and buy back what I could. The adults sold me stuff back, but the kids didn't sell me my toys back. So I lost most of my toys and I didn't get the book, at least not right away. And so many people would say, well, that wasn't a very successful entrepreneurial venture. But it was. I learned a lot. I learned that we can take our destiny into our own hands.
Yeah.
And I could have gone and bought the book had I not had an intervention there. And so my lesson number 2 was don't go into business with family. I'm I'm kind of kidding, but not really, but kind of.
No,
And, and lesson number 3
oh
was
my God. Go
that
ahead.
we really do want to that we can be the source of the solution that we want,
Yeah.
and that it doesn't have to be complicated. So just
All right, well, wait, time out right there. I just got to unpack something. So I get mom mad, trouble, no toys. But why was she upset? Did you get her permission? I mean, where are we going with this?
yeah, it was that she was probably at the end of a double shift of something or other. It was that I hadn't asked, and I'd sold a lot of her stuff, including she might have been particularly pissed because she had this brand new bright pink wool dress that was $40, and back then that would be the equivalent of a $300 or $400 dress. Now it was the nicest thing she owned. It
Yeah.
was plastic in the closet, still had the tag on. I saw the 4, so I thought I'll sell it, and I sold it for $4 instead of
Oh
40.
God. Okay. All
So,
right. All
so she
right,
wasn't
mom. You can't
mad.
be
And
mad about that.
I
Yeah.
did get it back for her. I did get the thing back, so that was okay. But yeah, she was a little disconcerted and flummoxed by the fact that all of a sudden some of her knickknacks and some things that are very precious were missing. I just want
Okay.
to an end,
Get
right?
some props for that.
Exactly. So I really did get that I was committed to helping people create yes lives. That's what that was about. I didn't
Yes.
ignore those no's. I wanted to create yes lives. And so my work has been, whether I'm, like I said, facilitating a personal growth course or coaching or whatever, is to create a yes opportunity, a yes life. And I truly believe that what will change the world, wealthy women will change the world, especially the world of business, because they'll have more impact and
Mm.
influence and voice. And that women, really, part of why we're being called up so much now, is we need to reinvent the patriarchy. We need to find a more equitable way of doing things through collaboration, co-creation. And so I think women are being called forward now to reinvent business. How do we do business? Because how we do business is how we do everything on our planet. If it's more equitable and fair and co-creative and collaborative and
Yeah.
win-win, so is everything else. And so or it ripples out. So I work with female entrepreneurs and maturepreneurs specifically,
Mm.
uh, to support them in being the difference that they're here to be. When they're living their purpose and profiting themselves and other people from it,
Yeah.
that makes a change. That makes a huge change. So that's why I'm passionate about doing that work. And that has been my why from when I was little to now. It just gets expressed in a variety of different ways. And
Yeah.
those of your audience and listeners who are concerned, I did get the book eventually. She did relent and buy it for me, and it remains my favorite book to this day.
Okay. So I wish I want to go through the rest of high school and on, but for the sake of time, we need to bring you on a Let's Keep It Real, because the Let's Keep It Real is a longer podcast that we really dive in. So we're
Yep.
going to bring you back. But I love those stories. Let's get into the second most asked question, which you touched on a little bit. And even though they know it logically,
Yep.
over and over again, asking for what they feel they deserve. It's a
Yes.
really tough thing when you work for someone and you have a salary. But I have a lot of entrepreneurs out there that listen and watch this show. So many wrote in like, I know I shouldn't, Sandy, but I accept the lower price and I know the dude's making more. Okay, they didn't say dude, but that's me.
Yeah.
How do they get that? Oops.
Oh, there's so many answers to that because it really depends on what's the end of the thread of the limiting belief for them. Is it I'm not enough? Is it I don't deserve? Is it, women should or whatever? But really, the bottom line with this is, well, I'm going to say it this way, and it may sound a little bit counterintuitive or rude, but I've got a 3-word solution for that. And the 3-word solution for any of the limitations, like if you're not selling well, if you're not doing the things that you can do, it's this: get over yourself. And what I mean by that is, when we're concerned about stuff and our approval is up, it's, I don't want to be a bother. I don't want to be intrusive. I don't want them to think badly of me. I don't want to seem pushy. What's the common word in all those sentences? I. We're all over here in our stuff. When we can get out there in curiosity and in our heart of contribution about what do they need, what would serve them, and in the case of how do I ask for more in the workplace, what role do I want to play in creating fairness for everybody, including myself? When we get out of I and our approval issue, because that's what drives most of those limiting thoughts, is the approval stuff, then we can get into curiosity and being over there in their world, which is where most of us really, our heart is in service. And so really it's what I call the ego of low self-esteem. Right. And so people think ego is that I'm thinking I'm big on myself. No, ego is also when I'm too small on myself, when
Yeah.
I make myself small, when I
Yeah.
think I deserve,
Yeah.
when I tell the not enough story. All of that is ego as well. It's the same thing. It's just the different side of the coin. It's no better than I'm all that in a bag of chips, and being what's that word, superior, and so forth and
Yeah.
so on,
Yeah.
right? It's the
Yeah.
ego of low self-esteem. And truly, when I say get over yourself, it's about how do I shift the focus from me to being over there in
No,
their
I
world.
love that. Yeah.
And that will get you out of the resistance to sales. If you do it well and consistently and practice it, it'll get you out of playing small in the workplace, because you know that when you show up and shine, A, you give other people permission to do that. B, more of the goodness that you can add comes to the table. And C, you get to be part of a solution that not only serves you, but other people. And I'm going to give you one other contrary perspective on that. Stop creating takers. When women give and give and give and give, we think we're supposed to, and we're trained societally to that's our value, is in our giving.
Mhm.
But they don't also become good receivers. Well, what happens if you give and give and give and you don't receive? What you're doing is creating takers. You're putting people in the position of being a taker, because you won't let them give back or give. So stop creating takers. That's not kind, it's rude. Stop taking their power away and assuming that, oh, I don't want to be a burden. Let them decide. They're big people. They can set their own
Oh
boundaries.
my
Thank you very much. Stop setting other people's boundaries for them and stop having relationships in your head. Have the relationship with the person. It's far more respectful and loving.
Cracking up because there are two things that I can think of that has really impacted my life. And it was when I first opened my first health club. And one of my mentors said to me, and I'm like, oh, I want to make sure I'm charging a fair price, I don't want to overcharge for the members, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, Sandy, you're always like, oh, I don't need to make that much money. I love what I do. He goes, how could you be so selfish? And it really gave me a whole, like, do you know what you'll be able to do with the money? And it changed my whole perspective. Number one. Number
Yes.
two, I guess this was about now 5 years ago. This woman from India, big guru, came over, did this whole yoga master class and mindset. And the same thing, I'm going out to dinner with her, and I can't wait, what words of wisdom she gonna give me. And she tells me, stop giving, start receiving.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
was waiting for something like, because I was getting ready to pay the bill. And she
Mhm.
why do you do that all the time? And she
Mhm.
didn't say it like you did, but I'm so glad because I love the way you say it. Like you're just, it's give, receive. In order to feel that all around pure joy, yeah, it has to be back and forth.
Exactly. And we give, and why do we give? Because we feel good when we do. We get to see
Yeah,
the difference we make. We get to have an impact. We get to feel, like kind of morally superior or whatever. We get to feel good when
you
we
feel
give.
good. It's selfish. You feel really good.
And stop denying other people that awesome, amazing gift. Be ready to receive and allow them to contribute to you. There's a lot of women who will ask for support, but they won't receive it. They won't let it in to make a
Yeah.
difference. And then there's a bunch that won't even ask. Think of all those people out there who are not getting the gift of being able to give and make a difference because you're being stingy with your requests.
Snap. That's a whole different. I'm thinking of even my girlfriends. I'm always the designated driver. You know what I mean? I'll drive. I'll drive. And then one time I said, oh, okay, you can drive, Sally. And you could see it was great. I didn't even think of it until now. They
Yeah,
probably in back and forth. Like I don't always have to be the designated driver.
exactly. Because you get to be the one it's actually very controlling to always be the giver.
Yeah.
So it's a way for you to hold a position and like seriously, knock it off, get over yourself, start letting other people be as big as you are,
That's
trust that
true.
they are big enough to set boundaries, and start letting people be givers to you because it makes them happy. I guarantee you, most of you in your family, if you go and ask your kids or your spouse or someone, if you're not used to doing that, if they can help you with something, they will light up.
Yeah.
So let them be happy by being in service to you as well.
All right. I know we don't have that much time left, but I just love the word. I love it. And I need to know how it came to you. Bodacity is a woman's best asset. Like when did it was like it boom? That's it.
Yes. Well, okay. I'll try and do the short version of the story. About 10 years
No,
ago,
no, no. Don't worry about it. I want to hear everything.
okay, about 10 years ago, I got this download during a meditation. And I literally wrote out 11 pages in my journal about this mindset and this community and this global movement called Bodacity. And the mission statement is shifting the world from fear to love, one happy and empowered woman at a time. And I read it and it was super inspiring. And it's complete vision outlined, including all of the business model and everything. And I finished reading it and I literally closed the book and said, God, universe, giant teapot in the sky, whatever you talk to, God, I don't know why you're telling me this. This is not mine. And
Mm.
I put it aside. And then I spent about 8 years, because I see my earlier comments about being a very stubborn Aries child. I spent about 8 years in rebellion, kind of dipping my toe in, semi doing it, but not really going all in. And I'd get the call and I'd be, but I don't even really like women. Go away. And I'd hang up. And I'd get the call and I'd be like, but it's so been done. There's so many women's groups. When
Yeah,
there was
yeah,
like
true.
four, now there's 4 million, right?
Yeah.
And I get the call and I'd be like, but like, you need a strong feminist. Go tell this to Gloria Steinem. Like someone else is probably better at this than me, right?
Yeah. I get
And
that.
and really underneath all of it, what it was I felt like I was being called to lead something that I didn't have a clue how to lead. I didn't know how to solve the problem that this was about how to shift our world so that women can profit from living their purpose in a meaningful way and really make a difference. And so, because I thought in order to lead, I had to have answers. That was my first mistake.
Yeah.
I kept stalling and coming up with all these excuses and stories. The truth is, in order to lead, you don't have to have the answers all the time. What you need to do is be brave enough to sit in the question.
Mm.
So, good leaders ask good questions. It's not always about having the answer.
Mm.
And so I finally surrendered in my version of gracious surrender, which I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on your podcast. So
You
let's
are,
just
so go for it.
so finally I just said, okay, fine, fuck off, leave me alone, and I will do it. But I really don't think you got the right person. So I went all in and I
You're having
stepped,
this conversation with God. I love that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I there have been a few times in my life where I've told God to fuck off. Anyways, so I have my kind of relationship with the universe. So I finally said, okay, I'll do it. And I stepped in and I went all in. I put all my chips in. And then of course I understood why
Mm.
women, why now, and why me.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
got that it really is about not having the answers, but asking the question, really being a stand for the status quo has got to go. And how, how? Well, it means a lot of things for a lot of people, but mostly my job was to turn up the volume on the bodacity in the world and the number of women who are willing to grab life by the ovaries and go for it and be the difference that only they can be. That's my job, to facilitate that in a variety of ways. So I do that by helping them in their business or making life changes. I had one woman who came to me as a coach who wanted to grow her business, of course, and make more money. And by the end of our coaching time, she had sold her house, everything she owned, bought one of the sprint vans, and was traveling around the world living a mobile lifestyle like I do, and coaching and having more joy in her practice than she had ever had, because and making more of a difference, getting more clients, because what she really wanted to do was live a different life. She wanted a different
Mm.
way of being. So a lot of what bodacity is not necessarily about being big or loud or bodacious can look like someone putting a hand on your back and just being really there for you. Bodacious can be the brave act of celebrating your body exactly as it is.
Mm.
Bodacious can be wanting to make $100 million and there's no reason why you can't or shouldn't, and just claiming that. Bodacious can be
Mm.
making the difference that you're here to make, being your why. That might be big, it might be small, it might be whatever it is, but all of it makes a difference to the world.
I love it. I love everything about it. Jannette, I could talk to you forever. I mean, my brain is just going in so many different directions, and I'm thinking, okay, in 1 minute before we wrap up, what question am I going to get in here? But that's all right. They will be able to reach out to you. So
Okay.
let's go over the wealthy women thing, because a lot of women, I say I reach out to them before you come on the show and I show them the comments you have,
Yeah.
and they want to know how to get over the guilt of, okay, to want money is, really bad. And they've heard, and I get it throughout the childhood, like evil people have money. How can they break that in their head, that cycle?
There's lots of things I would suggest. This is a really good tool and resource.
Oh, yeah.
Making Money, Jen Sincero. I have it out because in my program we have Mindset and Money Mastery Monday emails, and so I'm using some quotes from her for that series. Get help and support with dealing with the money beliefs. There's lots of resources out there, but I personally just love her style.
Yeah.
I would say this, first of all, why do we have this double standard where men are taught one thing and women are taught another? Is there not one reality around money? Is there not one truth of it's fine to have, or is there one truth of it's evil to have and they don't get to have it either? Like, what do you really believe? That comes down to, do you believe this is a supportive universe or a non-supportive universe? Like, is God or the universe working for you or against you?
Mm.
um, Start there, then work on what did you grow up with and listen to and learn, and what's the story that you've attached to it, and know that those stories are not yours. They have been passed down for generations. It's
Yeah.
not the truth, it's just it's a story that's been told. So tell a better story, a story that gets you closer to who you want to be, what you want to do, and what you want to have. Randy Gage is a speaker in the US who deals speaks a lot in the multi level marketing industry. And he's, a big bazillionaire or whatever and
Yeah.
makes lots of money. And he constantly gets called on it because he talks about it. He talks about
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
money and so forth. And so I was at a convention where he was speaking and someone said to him something about, don't you feel guilty making a lot of money? He said, well, let me ask you this. I gave $2 million to charity last year. How much did you give?
Mm.
Okay. So the more we have, the more we can give. the more we can celebrate and be what we want to be. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with living in luxury. There's nothing wrong with having abundance. It is false thinking that if I have it, you won't. Like, that's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
not actually
Yeah.
how it
Not
works.
true. Yeah.
Not in physics, not in money, not in the world. There's enough trees in one forest in Russia to literally make a wooden house for every man, woman, child on this planet. So we need to get over thinking that it's not okay, it's not spiritual, or any of that kind of stuff. It allows us to be, it's an amplifier. It allows us to be more of who we are. So if you're a dick, don't make a lot of money, because that's going to amplify your dickdom, right? If you're wonderful, go get a lot of money so you can be wonderful with more people. It's an amplifier, and it's a vehicle for freedom and access to things. So what I would say is, the reason I said wealthy women is, Gandhi said Western women will change the world. Well, why are we unique versus other women in the world? There's two primary reasons. One, we're more affluent generally, and two, we have more voice. We have more access to
Mm.
getting our
Yeah.
voice into the world.
Yeah.
It's not that we're special or more different than, women in India or Bali or
Yeah.
wherever. It's that we have access to those two leveraging tools that will help us change the world: money and voice. So we need to use that. It's not that Western women are inherently better, it's that we have access to those two things. So let's change the world. So that's why I say wealthy and empowered women will change the world. We need to shift what we are thinking about, and our scarcity does not serve anyone, especially ourselves, but it
Mm.
doesn't serve anyone else. It's not a good example. You don't want to pass it on to your kids. You certainly don't want other people treating you with that kind of scarcity
Yeah.
and stringent mindset. It doesn't help you play a bigger game. It doesn't help those ripples go out. It doesn't give permission to anyone else to be bigger and shine. So again, get over yourself, get support with this. It's deep, it's entrenched, it's societal. There's so many layers to it. But in short, wealthy women will be able to change our world. And I believe if we are really working together consciously,
Mm.
uh, we will be able to change the world consciously, and how we do things in a way that makes it more equitable and feasible and accessible for everyone. So, women, we got a lot to do. Pitter patter, let's get at her.
All right. Well, speaking of pitter patter, and don't be a dick. If you are a dick, don't get money. I want to end on that. Let's let's tell them where they can find you, what's going on, what programs you got. Let's give the deets.
Sure. All right. So you can find me at Jannette Susan Anderson on Facebook. Please come and join my Facebook group, the Purpose and Profit Sisterhood. I have the Purpose and Profit Sisterhood podcast. I'm also launching the Maturepreneur podcast, because there are millions of 55 plus people coming into the marketplace, because they are hashtag not done by a long shot, and they need support and resources, and we don't have any. Because our world has, one of the last greatest condoned isms is ageism. And so that shit's got to go. So there's a lot of work that I'm doing on maturepreneur front and really supporting that demographic. Um, and finally, there's I would love to invite you to, if you're here now listening to this as opposed to later, next Friday, the December 29th, I'm doing a complimentary prosperity planning session. So those of you who have the money stuff, come there. What we're going to be doing is kind of strategic planning with a difference. I come from, who do you need to be in order to do what you need to do so you can have the results? Most of our society, our goal planning is all doo-doo. I'm going to do this and do that and do this and do that. And so we don't really follow through on it, because we're not being the person we need to be to accomplish that. So you can register for that for free. It's a half-day training where you're going to plan out your 2024 goals and directions and what you're working on. It's 100% hands-on, you working on your stuff. No theory, just go do this piece. Okay, now this piece, now this piece. You'll come away with a lot more clarity about what direction you're going in. And to register for that, you can go to Bodacity, BODACATCITY, so bodacity.ca for Canada /planning. So bodacity.ca /planning. Again, December 29th. If you don't make that one, I hold them quarterly so that people can stay in process every quarter and really work together and on their business so that they can show up powerfully who they want to be, so that they can then do what they need to do to have the results and the impact they want to have.
Woo, woo. All right, my hey, I got something to say, ladies around the world. You know you're gonna want to share this. Come on, who doesn't need to hear this? Jannette and I will really, really appreciate it. And until next time, toodles. Bye, Jannette.
Bye. Thanks for having me.